Dungeons and Dragons. If you were excited for the movie, I know we've got a lot of Dungeons and Dragons fans in the chat. Well, your excitement, you can feel it leaving your body as I read this headline. The Dungeons and Dragons movie intentionally emasculates its leading men. Does that shock anyone here?
I mean, is that what they said?
Here's the quote. So it says, I'll read the whole quote in its entirety. It says, I'll read it from the start of the headline so you understand the context. It says, while speaking with Variety, Daly and Goldstein discussed how Michelle Rodriguez's Holga the Barbarian and Sophie Lillis's characters tend to engage in the front lines of battle compared to their male party members. Quote, this was not an attempt at wokeness on our part, Goldstein said, and as Daly elaborated, saying, swear to God, it wasn't. We like that Holga is the bruiser that does the dirty work. And he doesn't get his hands dirty. We also love emasculating leading men.
Cool.
So that's in the actual quote. We love emasculating leading men.
How much disposable income do feminist beta males have? That literally every single aspect and product of American culture is geared towards them. Like how balling out of control are these people? Like, do they just buy everything?
They explained that they wrote the men that way because they find it funny and fresh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really, it hasn't been that way since like the last decade and a half.
And they also aim to do something similar with Tom Holland's Peter Parker and Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yep.
We like our male heroes to be challenged and not simply heroic. Oh, do you mean like mentally challenged?
I like how they point out like you can't be both heroic and challenged. Like that's literally part of the hero's journey.
Literally,
Yeah, to overcome a
be
challenge.
heroic is
You
to
have
be
to be challenged.
What are you even talking
Exactly.
about? They'll just come up with the most like mental gymnastics. They'll like do like a whole PowerPoint presentation on why we shouldn't have actually masculine male characters.
Every movie now
when
is
it's just the fact that they like being degraded. And
every movie right now is gonna be a black woman experiencing something. It's gonna be like, girl, and suddenly like the villain's like, I've been defeated by your braveness and boldness, and it's done.
Also, I would like to ask them this question. If this isn't woke to them, what the hell is woke? Like, I would love to hear these guys.
what are your standards of wokeness?
I would love to hear these guys' descriptions of what woke actually is. If that's not wokeness, then what the hell
They
is?
noted that they had had experiences with a couple male actors in the past who refused to look weak or vulnerable in a film. Oh, well, how dare they not want to be intentionally demeaned as their characters? They had the opposite problem with Chris Pine.
This is his fault. This is his fault. He's like,
Plays Edgin the Bard.
he's like, emasculate me, please. Emasculate.
Chris
He really
Pine
cooks.
reportedly enjoyed making himself look as bad as possible,
Cool.
almost to a fault.
Dude, it's
to
like-
the point where the team had to remind him he had to look heroic in some scenes. This is literally humiliation fetish.
I'm not- no, and
this
I'm-
is a male feminist humiliation fetish
it's
where
all
he
over
gets
there.
off on looking incompetent and weak.
I swear, when I watch movies and television shows that do this to the male actors, it feels like they like it.
Yeah.
It feels like they're enjoying being put in their place. Like either because of it's an emasculation fetish that they like, or because they literally have so much guilt for being a successful male actor in Hollywood. They're like, yes, please make me look bad. I need it so badly. Like it's embarrassing and it's pathetic.
They said he let the directors rein him in not to go overboard on his quest to be anti-heroic.
Don't let it shrivel up too far, Chris. We still need you to.
Oh my god. Dude.
It's actually embarrassing.
It also makes me think of pro wrestling, where it used to be a thing, and it's still somewhat a thing in the industry, that like if you were a top guy in wrestling, if you were a Hulk Hogan or a Stone Cold Steve Austin, remember those are outcomes that are decided before the match, right? Your everything to a wrestler is your character, meaning you can't lose too many matches, otherwise your character starts to lose steam.
Yeah.
And those top performers protected their rep with everything they had. Hulk Hogan had it in his contracts that he could only lose so many matches.
Base.
Like, these actors need to start being like, look, I will be in your weird beta male movie, but I will not be, you can hire another guy to be the beta male in this movie. I am not going to do that.
I mean, if all the men in movies now, all the male characters get emasculated and degraded and made to look incompetent, pathetic, weaklings, who panic about everything and let women do the dirty work, what is a beta male anymore? If that's the norm,
It's the standard, huh?
we're
Also, to be
literally
fair-
redefining the standard of what alpha and beta even means. What would a beta male be then? And
Suppose
what
it-
would an alpha male
yeah.
be?
Maybe the alpha male part of Chris Pine is that he's actually convinced them to pay him more to do less work because the women are doing all the fighting. So he's making more money than the women by 70 cents on the dollar, like they say. And he's like, look, I can't do anything about the gender wage gap,
And
but I
that's-
can help you with women looking strong and independent.
What's
woman."
weirder is like Chris Pine and every
Okay.
mainstream male movie star right now, they're paid to look jacked, look traditionally
Yeah.
masculine, have facial hair, have that strong brow ridge, look,
And they've got the jawline.
have the jawline,
Yep.
like look chatted up, but act like
Yeah.
a
And then get beat up by a
beta weakling.
90-pound chick.
It's like that's what makes it all the more rich. Like you still have to do all the work before the movie.
Yeah. So it's
And
like
the women have to do nothing.
You have to get in shape. The women, they're like, could you put on like 5 pounds of muscle? They're like, did you just tell me that I don't look good just the way I am? I am going to get you in trouble, good sir.
It's like there has to be some contrast.
In what way?
Every single movie is this. Every single.
Well, that's why Top Gun Maverick stood out so much.
The Last of Us, from what I can tell from your reviews, is just
It's shit, yeah.
I mean, it's gay fanfic at
Yeah.
this point. This movie
Well, there's
is
several
like,
It's
detours
shipper
into-
bait,
Yeah.
basically.
yeah, this movie's like, God, aren't men stupid?
Basically.
If women can only look heroic and strong in comparison to men who are failures at their job, then you're saying something bad about both sides.
What other movies have we seen lately where they've done that? Like,
Done what?
where the men have been heavily emasculated. I was thinking about like when we saw Black Adam. Obviously, Black Adam is not emasculated, but
He's also kind of not human.
the girl's brother is definitely a doofus. Like he's definitely the fat guy who's like he's definitely like comic relief. Sarah Shahi's character's brother, I think it's her brother.
Yeah.
And that like he's a doofus, but so many of these characters, it's like you don't even need to actually come up with a list because I bet you if we picked any movie that's come out in the last several months, you could find at least a couple of characters in each of them where this is the thing, and it's especially prevalent in fantasy, sci-fi, because those are the genres that seem to delve into that get the most audience that are younger, right? So they're bringing
Do
in.
they anymore? I mean, really, they don't.
I get by terms younger. I would have
Especially
to look at
something like Dungeons and Dragons. I don't think this is going to
It'll
be
be
like
millennial,
bringing in the
millennial bait.
Zoomers, you know?
Yeah, it'll be millennial bait. So look,
But at this point, I think this is. I used to think that Zoomers were all based and Millennials were the ones doing this stuff. I think it's you. I think Zoomers are the ones that are like
it's both of them.
insane, out of control.
It's both of them. It's millennials and Zoomers. It's mind virus gone wild.
No, but all the young, Twitch streamers that are they/thems are Zoomers.
And are they thems? When I think of Twitch, I just think of like titty streamers, and
That's a section of it, definitely.
the men are basically
They're just
like,
licking mics.
all like in a hive mind, like Aiden Ross.
Okay, I literally picked a random date from last year to see if I could find. Okay, the movie Ambulance. The movie Ambulance is actually a perfect example of this. The main girl she's the most annoying girl boss. It's Isa Gonzalez, and she plays this like emotionless girl boss, and her like the guy she works in the ambulance with is both emotional and creepy. So he's both highly emotional when things are like when the tough gets going and the going gets really, really creepy.
To the women who encourage this, all of these stereotypes about men being perpetuated in movies, but also like
The Northman?
the people who want this in real life. To those women, like, who hurt you? Because like, why would your
Hey, that's my
desire,
line.
literally, who hurt you? Like, your desire for safety has steamrolled men flat to the point where they're ineffectual, and you would rather be like managed by the mommy state, like
Government.
what man hurt you that made you think men are so dangerous that they need to be neutralized?
I don't even know if it's
by,
a specific man. I think it's just that these narratives have gone on for so long now. There was somebody talking about it on Twitter this weekend where they said a lot of women have been shamed out of wanting to have families. Like they to the point where they're denying their biological desires to have children and start a family because they're told for generic reasons that you need to girl boss.
It's not even shame. It's literally fear of for survival. Like if you think about it, every time that a woman voices that she wants to have a family or get married in this culture, she's told, oh, but what if the man you marry dies in a car accident? Or what if he leaves you for another woman? Or what if he is secretly gay?
But they're also shamed. They're also shamed by women.
What if he goes to jail? What if this happens? What if that happens, where you end up alone and helpless? And you have to girl boss as a backup plan in case, or, for the inevitable outcome in which you get abandoned and left for dead.
What are you going to do? You're not going to be fat and live
during literally the safest time in human history to be alive.
At the safest time in human history, yes. Yeah. Well, the most comfortable time, yeah.
Unless
there's never been a bigger social safety net, right?
Yeah.
But also there are some women encouraging this, I'm sure.
Yeah. In Hollywood, every article written when these women do these characters, it's always it's so against the grain. It's so and that's the stuff that bothers me. It's not when they say oh my God, I got to play this strong independent woman. It's when they're because that's so not normal, as if the last 12 years didn't just happen.
I mean, if you need to constantly assert that you're a strong, independent woman who don't need a man, I think that you are weak, dependent, and do need a man.
Yeah.
And I also think that's not a bad thing, but you denying it all the time is
unbecoming.
It's unbecoming.
Well, I'm saying, in what scenario are they even allowed to want to have families anymore? Celebrities are allowed to because they've already got their career and they can afford
nannies.
Only if you
wait until you're 40.
Oh yeah,
do it
high risk
surrogacy, and also you have to constantly affirm that other people shouldn't feel like they have to do the same thing. Even though you're just living your individual life.
It's not for me. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone, they say.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
There's a show called The Politician, and it's S-tier progressive propaganda. It's next level. They have some propaganda on that show that's so next level that I can't even say it on air.
Where is this?
It's on Netflix. And the protagonist of that show is a bisexual, balls to the wall Democrat who is in a polyamorous relationship, whose mother is the governor of California.
What?
And there were
is this some kind of dystopian future?
It's you know how some people
future
think
of, next election cycle. Yeah.
Do you know how some people think that Hollywood just prepares you for whatever psyop they're gonna have in the future? This is legitimately that. I mean, tinfoil hat. Yeah. And
it's normalizing it so that it seems.
And they have a scene in that movie because he's polyamorous and he's despite the fact that he's a dork, he's crushing. And
another lie.
He has a fiance and the other chick in the throuple, and the other chick in the throuple gets pregnant, and it becomes this conversation about how his fiance wants to have the child and the other one doesn't. It's
the one who is pregnant with the child doesn't?
I think they're both pregnant. This guy apparently just super fertile, and it becomes a conversation
implying that men in polycules have a sperm count capable of reproducing.
They did a throuple episode of the show Elementary. The show all the way back in 2013 or 14, they did an episode about a throuple in that show. Also, I do want to point out, I came to a realization over the weekend how easy it would be to fix this stuff. If you watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the character of Xander, okay, no powers, he not in college, he lives aimlessly, he doesn't really have a purpose other than the fact that he's brave when they need him to be brave, right? but he's never talked down to regularly by Buffy or Willow. Buffy, who is a slayer, Willow, who is a literal witch, Giles, who is the Slayer's watcher. All of these people have powers and abilities and drive the plot forward because they're part of this, how they take care of the vampires and the demons, right? And Xander's just kind of there. But you never feel as if he's being talked down to because the writers knew enough not to have the other characters, at least not on a regular basis, talk down to him as if he wasn't important.
We need to tax snark.
Yeah, well,
Sort of like in Avatar: The Last Airbender, where Sokka is not a bender, but all the rest of them are benders. They still give him plenty of scenes where he's able to demonstrate his competence.
Exactly. In the show, Xander, he will go out with them and fight vampires and demons, even though he's not good at it. But the point is, they show his bravery. And that matters. And the characters don't say like they will have Cordelia push back and be like, well, you're like there are episodes where like he kind of gets like Cordelia's like basically like pushing back on him, saying like, you don't matter, you're not important, what are you even here for? But it's actually done in a way that makes you feel bad for him because he's bringing about his own self-doubt, but you don't get that feeling from Buffy or the other characters. If anything, it's Cordelia, who also doesn't have powers and isn't inherently important to the cause, who makes those comments about him. The writers knew enough to treat him with respect. All these douchey writers, like on Dungeons and Dragons, have to do is write with respect. They won't do it.
All right. Chris Pine's beta ass is on board with it.
It's probably the only job he can get. It's like, hey, you want a job?
No, he is a big name actor. He gets plenty
is
of
he
work. Yes.
a minority and or a woman?
It doesn't matter. He's a leading man.
It does matter. What do you mean?
Long gone are the days of like Richard Gere and Harrison Ford and like men who have hair on their forearms.
Yeah.
Now we have like Zac Efron and Tom Holland.
Zac Efron is like jacked now and like super built.
He's always been jacked.
Like,
this is probably the best he can get.
Yeah.
Is to cuck.
I mean, like he was in that movie. I wanted to review it before. Now I already forgot the name of it. Where he plays the spy and is like, he meets this lady at like a restaurant, and the whole movie takes place there. He also did that movie, The Contractor, where he's like an ex-Navy SEAL or something like that. He doesn't just do stuff like this. What I would guess is that the paycheck was just too good. Like he looked at the amount of money and he's like, sure. If anything, it speaks to the power of money and what that will allow you to put yourself through. Like back in the day, the women degraded themselves by being naked on screen for money. Now the men are like, yes, of course you can treat me like an absolute pathetic failure of a human being.
But he's not even reluctant about it.
That is
like he's the one taking it too far.
He's like, debase me further. Debase me further. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.